All right, y'all, it's about that time. It's about that time. Fallout 3 2023 review. Yes, I have fallen prey to this game once more. I just couldn't stay away. You know, we've been talking about Fallout for so many years on this channel, and I know many of you have deemed me the Fallout guy, and while I appreciate that, I really haven't sank my teeth into a Fallout game in a good hot minute, like a nice, steady, full playthrough. I'm always dipping in and out, talking about it a ton for content, but it's been a while, really outside of New Vegas, that I've dove deep into a Fallout game. And I wanted to go back to my personal favorite, Fallout 3, because something felt different about this playthrough going in. It was less from the content perspective, it was more from my own personal enjoyment. And well, funny enough, here I am making a video about it again. It's because I discovered something new with it. And that's the underlying theme of this whole video. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you like your occasional re-reviews along with your day one reviews, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. Let's go back to the past with a little bit of Fallout 3. What I meant by I discovered something new is I think this game is built off of its environmental storytelling and how phenomenally done it is. And because it's done so well, you get to tell your own stories like I'm going to here. And I think you could do the same in the comments. And that's what makes Fallout 3 and really all Fallout games so cool, is that sense of discovery where every new playthrough you discover something. Maybe you just forgot and now you're remembering it. But for me, this was entirely brand new. So I'm in Georgetown and I show up inside this townhouse and I find a deactivated Mr. Handy here. Now, I find this interesting because I love one thing about Fallout 3 and it's its sense of exploration. It's just so rewarding and satisfying. Every building has something packed in it, whether it's a magazine, a bobblehead, a cool, unique weapon or piece of armor. There's always something to find, or of course the stories packed into the terminals, packed into the notes. There's always some type of reward for your exploration. Your time is never wasted. And what I love about it is as you're going around these big overarching areas like Georgetown, you'll find unmarked locations where stories are hidden away. And so the one I found here in this odd townhouse I happened upon was one where I found a deactivated Mr. Handy, as I said. And as I turned it on, I said, why don't you go tell the little kid a poem? Because I'm thinking, what kind of option is that? So I follow the Mr. Handy around the house, and he goes up to a destroyed bunk bed. And on the top bunk, you see a very small skeleton with some other plushes on the top bunk. And you hear Mr. Handy reading the poem to what was supposed to be a very young kid. And you recognize the grim nature of this world and that, wow, that kid's not here anymore. And most people aren't here anymore. And that existentialism in that very, very small tale found packed in the corner of the world is what I think Fallout 3 is all about. You can tell me till the cows come home about New Vegas, the diverging story paths, how it did what Bethesda did better, and I'll hear you out all day, and there's a lot of stuff I agree with you on. But to me, this is where Fallout 3 outshines Fallout 4, New Vegas. It's that moment-to-moment discovery, and it's just so densely packed that you never really see everything because there's always something new to find, like that story right there. And to me, that story is better than any story that could be told within the game after a long stretch of time. Yeah, I've gone through Oasis. I've talked to the family. Yeah, I've seen my dad go into Project Purity for the millionth time. I've been through all that. But that new discovered story completely resonated with me, and to think it was entirely missable and entirely unmarked and was told strictly through the environment where the lack of anything being said is what conveyed to me something so powerful. And that's capturing of the universe where the world truly is over. Yes, even young, innocent lives were taken in the Great War. I just thought it captured it so well. So I apologize if I've really just spun around on this point for a while, but that was when I decided I do want to make a video on this because it then connected with me. This is such a special game. I already knew it. I already felt it. But as I mentioned at the top, this playthrough felt different. It was just a Matty playthrough, just for me. just for me to hang out and have some fun quietly, away from the content. But when I saw that, I went, I got one more in me. I got one more in me. It's time for me to express my love for Fallout 3 again and encourage people to play. It goes beyond the storytelling, though. One thing I'm very pleased to say is that, as I've reported in the past, there was a patch that removed the stupid Windows Live thing that was in Fallout 3 on Steam, where it made it where only the GOG version was worth playing, in my opinion, if you were over on PC. What's great to know now is because of a patch that came very, very late into the game's life, it has now made Fallout 3 a game you can play comfortably on Steam without worrying about crashing. And man, oh man, is it nice to have, because I hate library hopping on PC. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. I didn't mind going over to GOG as my dedicated launcher for Fallout 3 Game of the Year edition, but now it's nice to have everything in my Steam hub, and yes, it does work well, as this playthrough was done over on PC. Now, you may notice through the gameplay you're watching, it's unmodded. With New Vegas, I feel like that game goes to a whole other level with mods, because the modding capability for it is still so impressive to this day. And there's things like realistic damage and the better aiming down sights, things like that, the gore that they add to it that make it so much better. But with Fallout 3, call me a purist, call me egotistical, if you will, even. But there is something so special about the traditional Fallout 3 experience, and I genuinely wouldn't want it any other way. I have modded Fallout 3 in the past. If you watch my very old videos, you'll see me running around in a Spider-Man suit. You'll see me running around with crazy weapons and going to all these weird quest locations. But the modding capability for Fallout 3 just isn't that great. And honestly, it works in my favor because I love just going around the base version of this game. Because as I explore this world, I started to recognize another thing, which is Fallout 3 is weirdly beautiful, and it's so funny to be saying that here and now, because Fallout 3 was a game that I used to think was ugly as sin. I was like, oh my god, I can't look at this any longer. It's this brown and green color palette, rocks as far as the eye can see. But there are moments where you're just climbing over a hill. You see like one big building in the distance, nothing else but wasteland around it. The sun is peering out from behind the building. And it's in that moment that you recognize, again, how everything connects back to that exploration. You see the sense of emptiness in Fallout 3 really helps the exploration along, because when you see that one singular building in the distance, you go, that's something. I've seen nothing for a while. That is something. I got to go check it out. And off you go. And rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Of course, there are little markers on your mini map bar that are unfilled, and once you get closer, they fill up, so you'll know when you're going towards something you've discovered versus not discovered. But that's what I love about a Bethesda Game Studios game, is it's not so heavily waypoint driven. Technically, there are waypoints, but it's just a little bar, and that's it. And you just go in that direction, and there's so many times that you can get easily distracted. But the UI itself isn't cluttered. It doesn't clash with the user experience. It's a well-designed game from top to bottom. And the last thing I really want to sink my teeth into as I was playing the game again is, the common take in the Fallout community, and really the gaming community at large, is New Vegas craps all over Fallout 3's writing. And I think when you look at the breadth of choice and the options presented to the player and the sense of replayability, no doubt in my mind, yes, New Vegas is a much more impressive effort on that front. But as a scriptwriter myself, I think every script has a level of intent. And I think Fallout 3 was really built with the good and bad karma system in mind when the pen hit the script, so to say. And so when I was going through it, and I recognized a lot of things go down this one pathway, almost like I think of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It all goes down this one pathway. We're having generally similar experiences, and then you get to an end point, and there's maybe 2 to 3 ways to end that quest. And to me, that is the powerful RPG experience I'm looking for, because there's a focus where a story is being told and that the writer isn't spread thin trying to make an interesting thing every midpoint in the tale where it's like, oh my God, now this branches and then this branches. How many more interesting things can we have this character say that is different from what this branch is saying? Because you got to make it rewarding for the player who's decided to go a different path. Whereas Fallout 3 really says, no, your ending is going to be what's different. The permutation is going to be at the tail end. And not only is that easier to write for sure, because again, you tell that one consistent tale with very minimal permutations, but it's the reward structure that I think feeds that writing. Because for me, what makes it feel so fulfilling is less the reactionary nature that I think New Vegas has, and I think there's a middle ground between these two, but I much prefer Fallout 3's more like, hey, you did this, you made this choice, here is this set of rewards instead of this set of rewards over here because you did that instead of this. That connects with me a little bit better, even down to choosing perks that you can get, like during the Antagonizer quest line. I love that kind of stuff because you feel the effects of your choice. Of course, one of the best feelings is how the world changes in something like New Vegas, but with Fallout 3 for me, I love how it affects my character. I love how my build changes. I love how I become pretty much a god amongst men more and more as time goes on. I would never describe it as serviceable as I see so many people say it is. I think Fallout 3's writing is legitimately good. It's driven by a good and bad karma system and less about reputation, which is what New Vegas does, where New Vegas shines bright because it feeds all into that reputation system. But with Fallout 3, it's about good versus evil in many pockets of the game's narrative. And of course, you have a choice at the end of every quest. What direction do you want to go in? And it's not just usually that left or right. There's sometimes up to 3 or 4 ways for it to end. Again, I'm not saying you can't compliment New Vegas writing over Fallout 3's. I just see a lot of people consistently acting like Bethesda writers are absolutely clueless. And I think about quest lines in Oblivion. I think about what we saw with Fallout 3 here. And I go, no, they're great writers. They're great. Like, of course, Obsidian is on another level. When you play KOTOR 2, I don't think any game in my head comes really close to that outside of something maybe BioWare has made like Dragon Age Origins. That is a tough bar to reach. And so I don't think it's really fair to size everyone up to that. But when I look at the constant New Vegas Fallout 3 comparisons, I'm like, they have various strengths on the script in different places because they're focused in different areas. And maybe it's because as I've become more of a developer, I've recognized this stuff a little bit more as I've become more intimate with the process. But I just got to say, I really appreciated Fallout 3's narrative this time around, especially the side quests. I thought just the diversity of options there were great. Were there moments I felt pigeonholed? Like, yeah, the way Fallout 3 originally ended where you got to finish this mission. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. And I didn't like that we needed a DLC to fix that one. That should have been something we all saw coming. Like, hey, I kind of want to play the game, this big open world game, after the narrative ends. Obviously, it's fixed now, so there's no sense in complaining. But I could see where that complaint would come up for some folks, but it's a thing of the past now. So overall, it was nice to walk away from this playthrough and think, I have new things to say about the game. Normally it's the same, oh, I love the game, the radio is great, I think the shooting's not too bad, but that's not the point. The RPG systems, running the same circles over and over. It was really nice to just have this different takeaway from my experience. And so I just wanted to share it with all of you. Again, this is kind of unplanned, but I'm happy I went through with it because I really enjoyed my time with it again, unsurprisingly so. But I was happy that I took away something new. And Bethesda should be proud. That's a game developer's dream, right? To make something that gamers can come back to endlessly and they feel like they're finding something new most playthroughs. That's an incredible feat to accomplish. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. And of course, encourage you to share your stories on Fallout 3 down below. So what are you thinking about this game? And are you playing it now that it's Starfield season? Because yeah, I got a little BGS bug in me right now. So we'll see what other BGS games we pick up. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts. And with that, take excellent care of yourselves. And I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.